That's true. Naked Palpatine.
Oh, you pick that one. Fresh out of the clone tank, nude Palpatine is my
Well, that's the first thing I think of when you say Dark Empire Palpatine.
Hello, everybody. Engage. Welcome back to the Final Frontier. Star Trek Discovery. Season 2. Now, this took me like 3 to 4 months to finish. I have been struggling to finish this show. And I apologize if that sounds negative. There's a lot I like about this season. There's a lot I don't. To be honest, I don't remember a lot of the episodes now because it's been so long. But here are some of my notes. Overall, actually, before I get into that, I think Season 2 is okay. I think writing-wise, I think acting-wise, I think the overall structure mostly has improved outside of the big contrivances near the end of the season because they wrote themselves into a corner. But I found myself with the main plot caring significantly less than, despite how messy Season 1 was, I felt vastly more invested into Season 1 than I did in Season 2. But the standout achievement of this entire season is Pike. The actor that got to play Pike is one of the most absolutely phenomenal things I've ever seen. And I'm so excited to watch Strange New Worlds because he is Pike. Sure, we had Pike from the original episode, but he had one episode, and he was okay. And then we had the episode where he's already injured and everything, and it's basically just a recap episode of that pilot episode with Kirk there. It's okay. But this man right here, this is Pike. I enjoy Stamets. I think he's one of the best additions to the show. I like him as a character. His grief is really palpable, and I felt for him. Tilly is also really interesting. And there's the search for Spock in this early episodes, which I just wanted to use to title one of the movies to make a joke. In episode 2, I just want to mention, it's directed by Jonathan Frakes. So I just want to... Commander Riker directed this episode. So we see another retcon has been started here. And you know what? Star Trek has always been inconsistent. This has just been always the thing. And there's a lot of time travel in Star Trek. So there's time travel in Enterprise even. So I'm okay with the fact that because of all the time travel shenanigans, you know, originally the World War III was in the 90s along with the eugenics wars. But now it was 2053 because, again, the 90s was the far-flung future for the 60s TV show when it mentioned World War III and the eugenics wars. But the problem is that it's now when that show came out, it was like, what, 2017? Something like that. I don't remember the exact time frame when that season came out. But, you know, the 90s was our past, and clearly that didn't happen. So it couldn't, I mean, it isn't an alternative, world, so they could say whatever, but they want it to feel relevant to the times, so they changed the time, and I understand that, and I get it. So now it's 2053 that World War III happens instead of the 90s, and I'm sure once we get to 2050, if we still have no World War III, then they'll change the dating again on the war, and they'll keep pushing it further back and back until it literally makes no sense anymore. But that's Star Trek for you. Episode 3, and I don't remember anything about this episode. I think this is the episode where they go to the planet with the church, and they talk about the Red Angel, which won't matter till later. Episode 3, we have gross Klingons again. They still look absolutely disgusting, but they have facial hair now. So that is an improvement. They are still disgusting. They still have the disgusting makeup, but they have hair now. So that's something. They start off Klingon in this episode, like speaking Klingon, and you get subtitles, and then transitions into English. And I feel validated because one of my complaints of season 1 was that the whole thing was a and then you just had to read subtitles for like 20 minutes of them speaking gibberish, going and then you just have to read subtitles for the whole fucking thing. Sorry, that kind of slipped out. It just annoyed me a lot. I'm not going to edit this. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much. But, you know, I had said, I think in my season 1 review, you know, what they could do, because people aren't stupid, you could just have them start out speaking Klingon with subtitles and transition into English, and people would get that they're still talking Klingon, but in English, so we can understand it without having to do subtitles the whole time. It's exactly what they did, so I felt so validated. Tyler has a son, so that's the big thing. Tyler has a son, and this is part of the reason he has to go join Section 31, which is another point. Section 31 is in this show. Philippa saves Tyler, and we learn about Section 31. Now, the weird thing about this show is that Section 31 seems to be more well-known. I don't know about that, but I guess it's fine, because it could be that they disband by the, you know, TOS timeline, but they're still doing stuff. They're just officially done in terms of the public eye, you know, because they're kind of like the CIA, but instead they just quietly say, oh yeah, we're done, we're dissolving, but then they continue to be a thing moving forward, even if they don't tell most of the command structure outside of the highest ranking people, which that's kind of me saying that. I don't know if the show ever goes into that, but I'm saying that, so that's what it is, guys, until proven otherwise. Saru is a sickness. I forget what this is about, and Tilly is a parasite. I wrote something about intimacy, but not romantic, and I forgot what I meant by that. But you know, sometimes a lot of shows confuse intimacy with having to be romantic. And back in the olden days, and this is something that Lord of the Rings hypes on as well, as this idea of extreme intimacy without having to be romantic. Like Frodo Baggins and Samwise Gamgee are the bestest, closest friends in the entire universe, but it's not romantic. You know, people will be like, oh, they're gay, they're gay, they're gay, but they're not. They're just extremely close friends. I'm sure they'll, you know, it also changes how you view male masculinity and everything, because you have like Aragorn kissing Boromir before he dies, you know, and all that stuff. But it was something related to that in this show, but I'm going to be honest, it's been so many months, I don't remember exactly why I wrote that. But I assume it was something similar to that, because I remember something vaguely about that. The Spore Network is brought up again. We also get a TOS flashback. We learn that Talos 4, like the pilot episode from TOS, already happened. So this whole series of Discovery takes place after that pilot episode. I said Vong Tech at the end because it felt very similar to that. Episode 6, we get to visit Saru's planet. Oh, right. So Saru started getting sick. We were learning why, and we went to Saru's planet. And we learned that the people that have been oppressing Saru's people they used to be the prey in the past. And we get to a part where there's some shenanigans with Saru, and he starts sprinting at Michael, and it's actually quite terrifying. And I went, oh, now I understand why they were oppressed, because they're terrifying when they're the alpha. And I love the villain design of this episode. But it was a great episode on Saru, and it is one of the highlights of the season. Episode 7, I guess I wrote absolutely nothing except Time Rift. And episode 8... Oh, episode 8 was the TOS flashbacks. I'm sorry. And Pike and Vina. Sorry, it was episode 8. Episode 5 was just the Spore Network stuff. I'm sorry. It's been a hot minute. But episode 8 was all the Talos 4 stuff and the Pike and Vina, and it was a great episode. Episode 9, Jonathan Frakes directs again. This is the robot girl. And this is where we start really getting into the Red Angel plot line and the AI plot line. So episode 10, Red Angel, they hypothesize that Red Angel is future Michael. But then we find out Red Angel is Michael's mom. Whoa, she didn't die, she's still alive. Episode 11, Valley of Shadows, Tyler's son is on the planet that Pike has to go to. This is actually phenomenal. Pike sees himself messed up in the future, which is going to happen, and he still goes through with the mission because the mission is what matters, and the future come what may. And I just love Pike in this show so much. Episode 12 and 13 is a two-parter, Such Sweet Sorrow. So this AI just comes out of nowhere, and it's this Section 31 made it, and it's super evil and powerful. It's going to take over everything. Mike wants to go back to the past and do all these things that already happened this season to make sure that the AI never exists. And then she has to fling herself into the future, 930 years in the future, long after all the TV shows are done, so that way time is okay. And part of the deal is that no one is ever allowed to mention Discovery or the events of season 1 and 2, and they're not allowed to mention Michael, as to make sure that no one ever tries to make this AI again. Even though we'll have stuff like Data in the future, we'll never have this AI thing that will try to take over the cosmos again, all hinging on the fact that Burnham Michael stays in the future for the rest of her days, and no one's ever allowed to talk about her. So this is how we fix the continuity issues of the spore drive, because now the Discovery's gone, so the spore drive can't be used in the past to ruin continuity. And Michael Burnham, the sister to Spock, who Spock never talks about in any of the stories ever, it's because, I can't mention her, even to Kirk. I mean, maybe he told Kirk. We don't know. But as far as we're aware, he's never told Kirk this information because I'm not allowed to, or we'll ruin the space-time continuum. And I think my biggest issue with this season is how vastly important Michael Burnham is to this entire show. I mean, I get it, every technical main character is this big important figure, but she is so vastly important. The universe was going to implode in itself and end had she not done what she did. Think about the Wrath of Khan. Khan would have become a dictator and taken over a bunch of stuff. Sure, the universe wouldn't have ended, though. Same thing with the Undiscovered Country. It was a political issue that the Klingons and them needed to get along. It was not a world-ending threat. And that's most Star Trek. Besides the Borg. The Borg are a world-ending threat. But everything else, not really. But she's the most important figure. She is the Messiah herself. She is Christ Jesus. She is Paul Muad'Dib Atreides. She is the most important person in this entire setting. And it falls upon her shoulders to fix everything. And to make sure that everything remains good and perfect and great. And we got to shove her into the future. And again, this show, the spore drive and all these interesting ideas they introduced, if they would have just started this, if they would have just plopped it 930 years in the future and not had this been a prequel, we wouldn't have this issue. But now they have to course correct because they wrote themselves into a corner. Why doesn't anyone mention the spore drives in the future? Really, you have no explanation for it unless you just write, well, they can't mention it. What about Michael Burnham? Why doesn't Spock hang out with her in the original? She's in the future. And ultimately, I don't know. As flawed and as messy as season 1 was, I just vastly enjoyed the plot more. And Lorca, loved Lorca. Michael Burnham even had some good moments in there, in my opinion. The one shining example throughout this entire season was Pike. And I understand why they made a spin-off show just with him. And Spock did a phenomenal job too, don't get me wrong. And Michael Burnham, the girl from the Walking Dead, she does a good job too. It's not really her fault. I think some of the writing is a little there. But I don't know. There's something about it. There were certain emotional moments, when she's talking to Spock's dad. Sirach and her mom. It's supposed to be this big emotional scene, but it didn't really do anything for me. There's this big emotional scene between her and Tyler, and I feel like I should feel something, but I just don't. So ultimately, the season was fine. Technically, writing-wise and everything, it is an improvement. But in terms of enjoyment, I think I enjoyed it less than season 1. The added addition here being that it has Pike, who's just absolutely incredible in this season. But that's pretty much my thoughts. Now that I know that the rest of Discovery takes place in the far-flung future, I'm going to hold off on that. I'm going to start watching Strange New Worlds Season 1 and 2. I still also have to read all of the relaunch novels for Enterprise before heading into the original TOS era show. So while I'm reading those books, I may go through the rest of Discovery. I don't know yet. I know the new season is coming out in April. But, and maybe once it goes to the future, the show gets significantly better. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to watch all of it. I love Trek. I'm going to watch it. I enjoy these characters. I enjoy Stamets. I enjoy the boyfriend's name. I forget. I enjoy Pike. I enjoy Burnham sometimes. Even that lesbian lady that I forget her name. I like her too. She's snarky and funny. Saru is probably one of my favorite additions to this whole show. His alien design, his personality, everything about it, I adore. But I just don't know. I just don't know how to feel about it. Tilly's grown on me. She was a bit, but I like Tilly. She's cool. But I don't know. I don't know what the show needs to get me on board, but it hasn't really done it for me yet. So we'll see what the future brings. Future, I get it. Georgiou was cool too. She had a lot of cool moments. Her character arc was nice. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Overall, that's my thoughts on Season 2 Discovery. And I'll see you where we boldly go, where no one else has gone before. Till next time.